Hey, Keeper Cubs, Mrs. Hoffer here today to help you with today's English language knowledge lesson.
You will understand how Native Americans live today, and you will be able to demonstrate an understanding of the Tier 2 word traditions. Now it's time for today's read aloud. We're going to be reading a story called Native Americans Today. After this story, students will be able to explain how Native Americans live today, and students will be able to demonstrate an understanding for the Tier 2 word traditions. Friends, make sure to listen very carefully to the read aloud to find out about Native Americans living today. Anishinaabe, Mohawk, Kashut, Cree, Dakota, Choctaw, Hopi, Wea, Iroquois, Micmac, Crow, Wampanoag, Cheyenne, Blackfeet, Sioux. All these and many other Native American tribes spread out across the North American continent thousands of years ago. They are still here today. Long ago, these Native Americans hunted, farmed, and fished for their food, shelter, and clothing. Rabbits, turkeys, and squirrels dotted the forests. Buffalo, elk, and deer roamed freely about the land. Fish, clams, and whales filled the oceans, rivers, and streams. From the open plains to the forested woodlands to the coastal waters, Native Americans taught themselves how to live in harmony or in agreement with nature. They were hunters and farmers and fishermen. Today, some Native American tribes still hunt and farm and fish, but the North American continent looks vastly different now, and they no longer just live entirely off the land. Today, many of the forests have disappeared. Highways have replaced the buffalo across open plains, and many rivers and streams no longer have great numbers of fish swimming in them. So, how do the Native Americans live today? What do they eat? Where do they sleep? What do they wear? What do you think? Native Americans today still eat corn, squash, fish, and meat just as they always have, but they buy it in supermarkets. Native Americans today may use pueblos, teepees, weetus, and hogans some of the times, but most sleep in houses, apartments, and mobile homes as their main homes. Native Americans today no longer wear fringed leggings and deerskin moccasins. Here, the word wear means to be dressed in something, friends. Native Americans today wear jeans and sneakers and other clothing worn by other Americans. But many Native Americans still remember their tribal traditions of long ago. Traditions are customs or ways of doing things that are passed down from generation to generation. The Wampanoag have clam bakes along the coast of Massachusetts today, just like the Apponaug bear, gull, and crow attended. The Lakota Sioux have elaborate ceremonies with dancing, drumming, and singing on the plains of North and South Dakota. The Lenape still pass down their stories to their children and grandchildren and still hold their traditional celebrations. Native American powwows, or gatherings of Native American tribes, are held all across the United States today. At these powwows, the people often dress in native clothes trimmed with beads, feathers, shells, and bones. It is there that Native Americans honor the past and tell family stories. Penobscot, Navajo, Cherokee, Taos, Rappahannock, Tuscarora, Shinnecock, Kaw, Walla Walla, Umpqua, Zuni, Ute. These are just a few of the many, many Native American tribes living in the United States today. They were the first known people here, and for many years they were the only people here. Today they share their land with people from all over the world. The end.
Friends, in the read aloud you heard, but many Native Americans still remember their tribal traditions of long ago. Say the word traditions with me. The word traditions has the letter S at the end to show that it means more than one tradition. A word that shows more than one thing is called plural. When we add an S to something, or sometimes an ES to the end of the word, we make it a plural word. For example, one of my family's favorite traditions is watching the fireworks on every 4th of July. Think of traditions you or your family may have or know about. Try to use the word traditions when you tell me about it, Keeble Cubs. Friends, what's the word we've been talking about? That's right, it's traditions. Friends, in the read aloud, we learned that Native Americans keep their traditions and cultures alive. Do they still keep them alive today? That's right, they do. And some of the ways they still keep their traditions alive could be that they eat similar foods, they still hold some powwows, and they pass down family stories. Good jobs. Keeble Cubs, are there still Native Americans living in the United States today? That's right, friends. There are still Native Americans living in the United States. How does the author describe how Native Americans live today, Keeble Cubs? What does the author say? What do they eat and where? And where do they sleep? If you're having problem remembering what they eat and where or where they sleep, Keeble Cubs, pause the video and return to the story. Right, good job, Keeble Cubs. We learned that they may still use their pueblos, their teepees, and weedoos to sleep, but some of them still live in houses, apartments, and mobile homes as their main homes, just like you and me. Native Americans today no longer wear the fringed leggings and deerskin moccasins, however. They pretty much just dress like you and me. They wear jeans and sneakers and other clothing worn by fellow Americans. Friends, I'm going to read some sentences that may or may not describe a tradition. If you think what I described is an example of a tradition, say, that is a tradition. If you do not think so, say, that is not a tradition. Let's get started. At bedtime, Jenna's mother tells her stories that have been passed down for generations. That's right, Keeble Cub. That is a tradition. James likes to eat plums in the summer. That is not a tradition. Liliana's family celebrates Thanksgiving each year with a turkey dinner and a hike in the woods. Good job, Cubs. That is a tradition. Crystal went to the grocery store yesterday. Good job, Cubs. That is not a tradition. And finally, Fernando loves seeing his cousins at the family reunion every September. Is this or is this not a tradition? That's right, friends. This is a tradition. Good job. That's all the time we have for today, Keeble Cubs. Great job. Keep it up.